I think what I'd like people to really take out of this event is that self-build is something that most people can achieve. For about 20 years, I've been really convinced that group self-build, community self-build is the way that we will change the quality of housing in this country, and not just the quality of general housing, but also get more accessibility to housing.
We're wanting to keep young people here, to keep the workforce going, to keep communities sustainable, to keep businesses sustainable. And self-build is one of the options we'd like people to be able to take forward.
Self-build has an opportunity to really make sustainable buildings happen. We're enthused by the number of people who are turning out.
Well, Cumbria for Sustainability, or CAFS, has an ambition to work towards a zero carbon Cumbria. So sustainable design and build for self and custom build is an absolute critical part of that.
It's great to be here in Eden talking about community-led and self-build housing approaches. We think there is a massive opportunity for this part of the country.
We are uniquely odd in how little that we self-build. And what we see when people self-build is we have improved space standards, bigger homes, they're more sustainable, they're better built, and obviously they're built to the way that people want them.
I mean, this is a fantastic opportunity to meet with individuals, householders, people who have ambition to build their own houses, and perhaps to do that as a community.
And if people get involved in the projects that they're then going to live in, we just always see quality.
We have formed a Patterdale Parish Community Land Trust so that we're going to be able to purchase some land and hopefully develop affordable local occupancy houses on that land. We're working in partnership with Eden Housing Association to do this. We felt that was the most secure way of making sure that the homes will be local and affordable in perpetuity.
So we actually have some funding as Eden District Council, which we got through the government, which we've ring-fenced to be able to use it for community-led housing to help groups take things forward. It won't actually help with the build, but it will help do all the work prior to getting the mortgages and getting the funding set up to do the build.
You know, we are absolutely squeezing the life out of new housing because all the money is going down the motorway to London or to the big cities and to the pension companies. Why can't that stay locally in people's pockets?
Today is about raising the awareness of Unity Trust Bank. We are a bank with a social conscience, so we are very interested in supporting organisations that are actually seen to be giving something back. That can be something environmental for the community, and just to support that we have been involved with Keswick Community Housing Trust.
We've certainly seen a big increase of self-builders, certainly looking towards down the timber frame route. It's a big tick in the box for eco-friendly, and obviously speed of build is a big advantage.
If somebody is thinking about doing a self-build, I would say that the most important thing to do right at the very start is to find the land, because everything else just falls quite naturally in once you have the land.
Self-build projects have always been very difficult for people, so the planning department and building regs are really the first thing that we can help people to understand.
We're seeing a lot of interest in self-build at Ecology Building Society. It's what we were set up to do back in the early 80s, but over the last half a dozen years or so we've seen a real increase in the number of people wanting to build their own home. And
the other thing is that if people are involved in building their own homes in affordable housing, they can learn new skills. And we need to re-skill the whole building industry to meet the challenge of low energy housing.
So to start things off, could I welcome Virginia Taylor, leader of Eden District Council, who will open the event.
So hello, thank you very much to you all for coming to this inaugural event for self-build and community-led housing. As a local leader, I really want to attract and keep the sort of creative and resourceful people who will be self-builders. And self-build is a great way that resourceful and creative people can find a way to house themselves and to make their communities more sustainable. I'd like to welcome Charlie Luxton. Thank you very much.
I think actually being here today is hugely inspiring and makes me believe that we can do this, because we need a counter argument, we need an alternative, and unless we have something to point a finger at and say that's what we want, it's not going to change. It's not just for you, it's for everybody that we get these things working and then they're a success. So get out there and make it happen. Thank you very much.
Fundamentally what drives me is that we have to make this carbon transition, this transition to a sustainable future that we all have to go through. affordable and doable for the poorest and most vulnerable people in our society. It's just not acceptable, basically, to build poor quality houses for poor people. Co-housing is a wonderful thing to live in and to do. It is a great way to innovate and try new ideas out and demonstrate new ways of doing things. That's why we've got to take these lessons and translate them across the whole field of communal and affordable housing.
Action with Communities in Cumbria is managing the hub and working in partnership with lots of other people to make it easier for people to access community-led housing. Community-led housing should be really supported by the community in which it sits. You need to be engaging with people and talking to them about what's required. You need to understand the housing need that you're trying to meet, and you need to work with the people in your communities to provide appropriate housing that meets that need. You need to have their support. So this is a really serious part of this for me, because we can go through building lots of lovely new homes, but if they all end up on the open market, we lose the value. So it's really, really important that we have this commitment to keeping them protected in perpetuity. This is about building confidence in the capacity of your communities, yourselves, to take on what's quite a challenging project and make it into something successful.
What we're trying to achieve is life-enhancing buildings. Quality has been mentioned earlier. That's what it's about. It's about creating quality buildings, and that's what we do. Absolutely critical to the success of a design process. You need to communicate what you're trying to achieve, but a house is an emotional experience. Ideally, we want to know how you want to feel in your new house. We need to know how you want to live in the spaces we're creating for you. Because designing a building involves an awful lot of choice. Get the brief right, and the design solutions follow. And perhaps counterintuitively, the more complex the brief, the easier it is as a designer to respond to that.
Now I'm going to give you a slightly different point of view, that of the client. We had a good idea of what we wanted, but we needed an architect to sort out the detail and make sure that what we were designing was both practical and aesthetically pleasing. What I did find useful in this process was a computer model, which allows a fly round or fly through the scheme in 3 dimensions. We did in fact change some aspects of the design as a result of this work. I learned that in my experience there are 4 essential steps any self-builder has to go through, which are finding a site, preparing a scheme, finding a builder, which is easier said than done, and arranging finance. And I would suggest that if you can get past these 4 hurdles, then you're on the way. I had some great help with the project from an understanding architect and a builder that stayed on the job until it was finished, on time and on budget, more or less.
The establishment of our Community Land Trust is the result of several years of hard work by a dedicated group of local residents. So I'm grateful, and I'm also very proud to be able to tell you about our journey of how we've got where we are. Around 50% of the properties in the parish are now holiday lets or second homes. For example, a group of 20 small terraced houses that once housed miners and their families now only have 3 permanent residents. These houses now sell for at least £350,000, totally out of the reach of local people whose families perhaps once lived there. In recent years, the scale of the problem has become apparent to the authorities and policy makers, and they all became very aware of the long-term detrimental effect of losing our local communities. In 2015, the Ullswater Valley Local Plan identified affordable housing as an issue that the local community wanted to do something about. We have discussed with the Eden Housing Association what we would like the development to look like. We want the local community to agree to and like the development and be proud to have it in their village as a brilliant example of how community working partnerships can be a way to provide well-designed, affordable housing for our future generations.
Unlike regional building societies, we lend right across the UK, but we'll only lend for projects that have a positive impact on land and the built environment. We work really backwards on the cash flow from what the projected value would be to make sure that you can release not only the funds that you need at the stage you need them, but also obviously the overall affordability of the scheme. Stress testing your assumptions about the plot, the labour costs, materials, interest rates, are they going to stay where they are? How long is the project going to take? Can you afford it if the rates move? And finally, whatever you do, choose partners that understand what you're doing. Thank you very much for listening.
This is and has to be your Bible in terms of where you're looking for sites. And this policy document tells you what you can build in each of those areas. We encourage anybody to use our pre-inquiry service. Building Control also run a pre-inquiry service. So overall, we're here to help. There's lots of things that we do. The community housing team have got money to give away to help you with your community dream. The building controls here, planning's here. The policy team will try and tell you where you're likely to get planning permission, where to look. So you've got lots of things on offer.
What I think I really want to talk about is about creativity, connection and empowerment through community-led housing. So really like some of the real personal and communal gains that we get through doing this form of development. It's that ability to create a space, to design, to build, to have something that is the manifestation of a dream. So go off and do that, get inspired, go for it and build your dream. Thank you.
Self-build is something that most people can achieve. You know, in this country we have incredibly low levels of self-build.
We've asked the people of our parish what do they want so that we can actually provide this housing that people want and need, and we still have control over that, working with Eden Housing Association.
So come and talk to us. We've got help available for people out there.
Try and ensure that sustainability is embedded right at the start of their thinking process as they're considering building their own houses.
There are lots of opportunities right across Eden District, so you need to contact the planning department or get a copy of the local plan and start thinking about where can you build.
So I think wresting back the responsibility and the ability to deliver the new housing in this country out of the developers' hands and back to the people, that, this is what, for me, this is the start of these kind of events. Councils taking an interest in self-build, empowering local people. It's the start of a journey that we really need to go on.
My advice would be to talk to lenders who have a bespoke self-build angle to what they do.
And we're there to help and lead people through the system to get a planning permission that they want.
You have people on your side. You should get together in groups, you should identify pieces of land and you should go to the council and start a conversation. Start talking to Eden.